The alien ambassador burned a human engineer. He forgot who really runs the station. Keystone Ring Station floated above a giant striped planet. In Docking Bay 12, mechanic Reina Torres wiped grease from her hands and watched the newest arrival on a screen. The ship was not a normal trader. Long, sharp, covered in crystal plates that flashed purple and gold. The ID code rolled across the top. Andarai Royal Cruiser, Prince Lurok SAL. Reina blew out a breath. A trade prince meant checks, fake smiles, and a week of pretending this old station was a hotel. Her supervisor, Chief O'Malley, limped up beside her and frowned at the screen. "There he is," he muttered. "Big shiny headache of the month. Command says we smile, we nod, and we do not start a diplomatic fire." "Got it, Torres." Reina saluted with her dirty rag. "Perfect angel, Chief." "That," he said, "is what worries me." The cruiser slid into the bay. Docking clamps locked with a thud. The main ramp lowered. Cold air flowed out. Four Andarai guards came down in crystal armor. Then the prince appeared. Prince Lurok Sale looked like a walking statue. Glass-like plates, light inside, for long arms. He saw stains, open panels, a stack of parts by the wall. "So this is Keystone Ring Station," he said through a translator collar. "Smaller than I expected, and very industrial." O'Malley stepped forward. "Welcome to Keystone Ring, Your Highness. Our crews are ready to help with anything you need." The prince did not look at him. His gaze slid past and locked on Reina. "You," he said, pointing one crystal finger. "Organic. My ship's environmental core is unsatisfactory. You will adjust it. Now. Organic. Not engineer. Not human." Reina's jaw tightened, but she kept calm. The summit meant contracts and paychecks for half the station. "Yes, Your Highness," she said. "I'll inspect the core." "Follow my aide," he said. "Do not touch anything you are not told to touch." Behind O'Malley, a few dock workers exchanged looks but stayed silent. Reina picked up her toolkit and followed the prince's aide up the ramp. Inside, the air was cool and dry. The corridors were tall and narrow. They reached the environmental core room. In the center stood a column of crystal blocks and metal rings, spinning slowly. "The prince says it feels stuffy," the aide said. "Fix it." Reina checked the readings. "Almost perfect. Just a small mismatch in humidity and airflow." She pulled out a scanner and a wrench. The door opened again. Prince Lurok stepped inside and moved close enough that Reina could see herself in his chest plates. "You are slow," he said. "Humans always are. Your species builds loud machines and heavy hulls, but your minds drag." Reina kept her eyes on the panel. "Almost done, Your Highness." "Do not break anything," he said. "This ship costs more than this entire docking arm." She finished the adjustment and closed the panel. The hum of the core shifted to a smoother tone. "There," she said. "Air mix and flow now match your profile." Prince Lurok checked the data and gave a short nod. "Acceptable," he said. "Barely." Reina picked up her toolkit and turned toward the door. "Wait," Lurok said. She stopped. "I require a stem brew," he went on. "Hot. Unsweetened. Bring it." Reina turned back. "I'm a mechanic," she said. "Not service staff. There's a cafe on Ring 3. They can send someone." The air felt colder. "I gave you an order, organic," he said softly. "Do you refuse?" Reina thought of nights crawling through pipes, fixing leaks so guests like him could sleep. She thought of the people who trusted this station with their lives, and of O'Malley's warning. Her pride burned. Her voice stayed level. "No, Your Highness," she said. "I'll bring it." She walked out of the ship, toolkit heavy at her side. As she headed toward the nearest dispenser, a sharp thought settled in her mind. "You think I'm just an organic, with a wrench," she told him silently. "You have no idea who really holds this place together." Reina did not sleep that night. The sting on her cheek reminded her every time she closed her eyes. Kaido had treated the burn, but the memory stayed raw. The station hummed around her, vent fans, coolant pumps, distant footsteps. She had lived here long enough to understand every sound, every vibration, every rhythm. Keystone Ring was like a giant steel animal, and she knew its heartbeat better than anyone. And that was exactly why Prince Lurok had made a mistake. By morning, she walked into engineering with a quiet, calm expression. Jax Rowe already sat at the main console, sipping a cheap energy cup and scrolling through maintenance logs. He looked up. "Heard the prince threw hot brew at you." Reina sighed. "News travels fast." "News?" "Torres, the air vents are gossiping about it." Jax lowered his voice. You planning to do something stupid? Reyna smiled faintly. No. I'm planning to do something legal. Jax blinked. Oh no. That's even scarier. Before he could ask more, Mira Chun from admin strode in, holding a slate. Morning. Got your complaint. She tapped the screen. Security footage, medical report, timestamps. It's airtight. Reyna nodded. Good. Now I need one thing. Mira raised a brow. Which is? The diagnostic schedule for VIP wing systems. Jax choked on his drink. Reyna. It's just a schedule, she said calmly. I want to see which systems are due for testing. Mira handed over the slate. Officially? Sure. But unofficially, this looks like you're planning something. Reyna met her eyes. I'm planning to show a prince that humans built this station and that we're not to be stepped on. Myra's expression softened. Just don't get spaced, okay? Reyna left the room and headed toward the Environmental Control Center. The corridors were already buzzing with delegates moving between meetings. Lurok's ship guards stood at every turn like polished statues. Inside Environmental Control, the room was warm and filled with glowing panels. Pressure valves hissed gently. Jax followed her, still looking nervous. What's the plan? He asked. Reyna pointed at a rotating schematic of the VIP wing. Section 14A, Prince Lurok's private suite. Jax whistled. You're bold. This whole section is scheduled for a full-spectrum diagnostic today, Reyna said, tapping the chart. Gravity plates, air mix, humidity, noise filters, all set for routine testing. And? Jax asked. And nothing, she said. We follow the schedule exactly. No cheating. No hacking. No touching anything we're not allowed to touch. Jax stared at her. Reyna, the scheduled test gradually raises gravity to station standard. Exactly. His eyes widened. You're going to let the diagnostic run, and he's going to feel it. Reyna shrugged. The system does what it's designed to do. I'm not altering anything. Jax shook his head in disbelief. It's still going to hit him like a ton of bricks. Reyna didn't smile. She didn't need to. The idea spoke for itself. She entered her clearance code, signed off on the diagnostic start, and watched the display shift from blue to amber. VIP wing diagnostic. Initiated. Gravity plate calibration. Phase 1 to 0.6, G 0.7 G. Jax whispered, this is evil. Legal, but evil. Reyna leaned back. He threw boiling brew on a human worker, she said. This isn't revenge. It's a reminder. Hours passed. Reyna stayed busy with routine repairs, broken comm panels, a jammed door, a coolant leak. But every so often, she checked the diagnostic screen. Phase 1, 0.7 G. Phase 2, 0.8 G. Phase 3, 0.9 G. By midday, messages from the VIP wing support staff began coming in. Prince Lurok requested a medic for fatigue. Prince Lurok moving slowly down the corridor. Prince Lurok breathing heavily. Jax peeked over Reyna's shoulder. He's feeling it. And he hasn't even reached full standard gravity yet. Reyna did not celebrate. She simply continued her shift. Near the end of the day, while working on a ventilation panel, her communicator buzzed. Myra's voice came through, low and urgent. Reyna, heads up. Security says the prince wants to file a complaint. He's blaming gravity sabotage. Reyna wiped her hands and replied calmly. Tell him to check the maintenance calendar. There was a pause. Oh, Mira said softly. You're really doing this. Reyna tucked her tools away. He thinks humans are weak. It's time he learns who actually keeps him alive in this floating tin can. As she walked back toward her quarters, the station lights reflected off her healing cheek. The burn still throbbed, but her mind felt sharper than ever. The prince had fired the first shot. Reyna had simply pressed Start Diagnostic. Prince Lurok woke before dawn, blinking into the dim blue light of his luxury suite. Something felt wrong. His limbs felt heavy, as if someone had wrapped weights around his arms and legs while he slept. He tried to sit up, but the motion dragged slow and stiff, each joint protesting like grinding stone. He frowned. Sweet AI, gravity reading. The soft voice answered, current gravity, 0.8 standard units. Within approved diagnostic range. Lurok scowled. Diagnostic? I ordered 0.6. Maintenance schedule uploaded 2 weeks ago, the AI replied. Systems calibration in progress. He pushed himself upright, breath harsher than he expected. Annoying. Inconvenient. but surely temporary. He dressed in shimmering robes and stepped into the corridor, only to feel the floor fight his feet with each step. His guards glanced at him but said nothing. They were too well trained to comment on their prince's slow, dragging pace. By the time he reached the conference chamber, he was already sweating under his crystalline plates. The humans, of course, noticed. Human negotiator Alicia Cade stood waiting, arms crossed, expression calm and sharp. Her eyes flicked over Lurok's posture. "Rough morning, Prince Sale?" she asked politely. He lifted his chin. "Your station is malfunctioning." "Not malfunctioning," she corrected gently. "Running scheduled tests. Fully documented. Happens every month. You approved the schedule when you booked the suite." Lurok opened his mouth, then shut it. True, his aides had handled the paperwork. He hadn't even glanced at the maintenance section. Why would he? Human written schedules were beneath him. Alicia slid a small data pad toward him across the table. "Before we begin trade talks, we need to address a formal complaint filed by your station engineer, Reina Torres." Even hearing her name made his jaw tighten. Alicia continued. "Medical reports indicate she suffered a burn injury yesterday. Witnesses say you threw hot brew on her." "That is a human exaggeration," Lurok snapped. "A minor correction for slow service." Alicia's smile did not reach her eyes. Assault is not minor here. Around the table, delegates from other species exchanged looks. Some whispered. Others stared openly at the prince's trembling arms. The meeting dragged on through topics he usually dominated with confidence: tariff lanes, docking rights, technology exchanges. But today, every sentence felt heavier than the last. His breath came shorter. He shifted often, trying to hide the ache spreading across his body. Once, when he reached for a data pad, his hand shook noticeably. A Zirian ambassador politely asked, "Prince Sale, do you wish to postpone? You seem physically strained." Lurok forced a laugh, though it cracked in the middle. "I am fine. We continue." But he was not fine. He could barely think. Every moment in that chair felt like carrying a crate of dense metal. By lunchtime, he excused himself, insisting he had urgent communications. In truth, he could not stand another minute under this oppressive weight. He staggered down the hall toward his suite. His guards pretended not to notice his uneven steps. When the doors finally closed behind him, he collapsed onto the bed, gasping. "Sweet AI," he growled. "Return gravity to 0.6 immediately." Unable to comply, system locked during diagnostic phase. Lurok slammed a fist into the mattress. "Override. Override requires engineering clearance." He froze. Engineering. The humans controlled it. His thoughts flashed to the mechanic with the burn mark on her cheek, the one he had dismissed as organic. The one who looked at him with calm eyes even when his arrogance spilled over. Reina Torres. No. Impossible. She would not dare. His communicator buzzed. A message from Station Medical. "Your vital readings indicate strain. Please report for evaluation." Lurok hurled the device across the room. He was Prince Lurok Sale. He commanded fleets. He negotiated with empires. Entire trade routes existed because of his word. And yet, here, in this human-built ring of steel and wiring, he felt small. He pushed himself upright again, muscles screaming, and limped to a mirror. For the first time in his life, he saw faint microcracks spidering across his crystal skin, stress fractures caused by pressure beyond his natural limits. His own reflection stared back, pale and strained. "This station," he whispered. "No. This human, she is doing this." But how? And more importantly, what else could she do? Lurok swallowed hard, fear curling cold inside him for the first time in years. Keystone Ring was not malfunctioning. It was teaching him something he had never bothered to learn. On this station, humans did not bow. They built. They ran. They controlled. And if you disrespected them, the station itself pushed back. Prince Lurok did not admit fear. Not to his aides, not to his guards, not even to himself. But when he stepped out of his suite the next morning, every movement reminded him that something was very wrong. The corridor lights felt brighter than usual, almost sharp on his eyes. Each footstep sent a dull ache crawling up his legs. Even breathing felt slightly heavier, as though the air carried invisible weight. His closest guard whispered, "Your Highness, perhaps you should summon a medic." Lurok snapped, "I do not require human assistance." He regretted it instantly. The effort of raising his voice made his chest tighten painfully. Still, he continued toward the negotiation chamber, spine straight, expression proud, though sweat slowly gathered between the plates of his crystalline skin. When he entered, all eyes turned his way. Not with admiration, not with fear, with curiosity. Alicia Cade sat at the head of the table, tapping a stylus against her datapad. Her gaze swept over him like a scanner. "You look unwell, Prince Sale," she said with polite calm. "Shall we delay today's session?" "We proceed," he insisted, lowering himself into his seat with barely controlled effort. "My state is irrelevant." "Then let us begin," Alicia said, though her tone carried an undercurrent he couldn't read. The negotiations moved slowly. Too slowly. Lurok tried to stay focused, but the weight pressing on him made every question feel like a trap. When the Xerian delegate asked for clarification on cargo tariffs, Lurok's mind blanked for the first time in years. He stared at the documents in front of him, the lines of text blurring slightly. Alicia leaned forward. "Prince Sale response." He swallowed. The entire room waited. "I will need the question repeated," he finally said, the words burning his pride like acid. A few delegates exchanged glances. Others hid small, knowing smiles. For the Andrai race, famed for precision and clarity, this was humiliation. As the meeting limped on, Lurok signed off on minor agreements he would normally reject outright. He didn't have the strength to argue. Not while his bones felt like they were grinding under pressure they were never designed to bear. When the session ended, Alicia rose and offered him a diplomatic smile. "Perhaps rest will help. You should take care of your health, Prince." He wanted to snap back, but his voice wavered just enough to betray him. "I am fine." He walked out, forcing steady steps. As soon as the door closed behind him, his legs trembled. His guard reached to support him, but Lurok shook him off, unwilling to appear weak even in front of his own people. Back in his suite, he collapsed onto the nearest seat. He pulled off one glove and stared at his hand. Hairline fractures, thin as spiderwebs, ran across the surface of his crystalline skin. No, not possible. Not from gravity alone. He grabbed the wall console. Sweet AI, confirm gravity reading. Current gravity, 0.9 standard units. Calibration remains active. It was getting worse. He slammed a fist against the console. Override. Immediately. Override denied. Maintenance lockout in effect during calibration phase. The words felt like insults. Lurok forced himself upright and activated a direct call to Station Medical. Dr. Haven, a young human physician with calm brown eyes, arrived minutes later and began scanning the prints. The doctor frowned. Elevated structural stress, muscle strain, early-stage microfractures, all consistent with extended exposure to higher gravity. Lurok breathed harder. "Fix it. I can treat the symptoms," the doctor said gently. "But the cause is gravity imbalance. It's within the safe range, but uncomfortable for someone with your physiology." "Then lower it," Lurok demanded. Haven shook his head. "I can't override active diagnostics. Only engineering can." Lurok froze. Something sharp twisted in his gut. Engineering. Reina Torres. The woman he had humiliated. Burned. The one who hadn't screamed or begged or shown fear. The one who had simply looked at him with a strange, calm expression, as if she already knew something he didn't. Lurok's breathing quickened. "This is sabotage." Haven held up both hands. "No. Everything is documented. Completely within system rules." That sentence hit like a hammer. Within the rules. A cold realization crept through Lurok's mind. Humans were not attacking him. They were not cheating the system. They were using the system. Every regulation, every procedure, every maintenance cycle, every tiny inconvenience, all aligned at the same time. Not illegal, not violent, not traceable to any individual. Just enough to crush his pride. Just enough to break his certainty. Just enough to make him understand who truly controlled this station. Dr. Haven packed his tools. "Prince Sale," he said gently, "I strongly advise rest. If the calibration continues to rise, you will experience severe pain." Lurok nodded stiffly. When the doctor left, the suite was silent except for the low hum of gravity plates. Lurok stared at the door, fear prickling beneath his skin. This was not malfunction, not accident, not coincidence. Someone had arranged this. Someone who understood every bolt, every pipe, every switch, every weakness. Someone who had walked onto his ship with a toolkit and left with a burn on her cheek. Reina Torres. His fingers clenched. He had underestimated her. And now, for the first time in his life, Prince Lurok's sail felt very, very fragile. By the time night's cycle began on Keystone Ring, Prince Lurok's body felt like it was made of cracked glass. Every movement sent pressure radiating through his core. The sweet lights dimmed automatically, but sleep refused to come. His mind churned. He had never struggled this much in his life. Not in training. Not in politics. Not in war. Never had simple walking felt like climbing a mountain. Never had breathing felt like dragging air through sand. And never, absolutely never, had a human been the cause of his suffering. He lay on the bed, trembling with exhaustion and pride, when suddenly the alarm chimed overhead. A soft voice echoed through the suite. "Attention VIP wing. Level 3 emergency drill has begun. All non-essential systems will shift to safety mode." Lurok's heart skipped. "Emergency?" he said aloud. "What?" The room lurched slightly as gravity increased another fraction. A chill swept through the air as thermal regulators dropped to human-safe emergency levels. Lights brightened, then shifted to a pale white emergency glow. His translator collar buzzed with an alert. "Power grid redistribution, priority systems only." He sat up with difficulty. "Cancel drill. I did not authorize." "Emergency drills occur monthly," the AI replied. "Participation mandatory." Then the doors to his suite locked with a heavy metallic clunk. Lurok's pulse hammered. "Unlock this door. Doors seal for your protection during drills," the AI answered. "Please remain calm." Calm. Impossible. The air felt thinner now, colder. His skin tingled painfully as microfractures deepened. His guards tried forcing the door from outside, but emergency bulkheads had slid into place, thick slabs of metal built to withstand hull breaches. Lurok stumbled toward the window. Outside, the quiet docks stretched out, lights blinking rhythmically. Everything looked normal. Everything except the crushing weight on his body. His knees buckled. He caught himself on a chair, breathing hard. This station, this cursed station. Then his communicator buzzed. It was one of his attendants from down the corridor, voice strained, cracking. "Your Highness, I cannot move. My legs won't." The message cut off with a groan of pain. Fear surged through him like electricity. He pounded on the door. "Captain, doctor, anyone." The door stayed locked. He felt helpless, trapped. A prince, a negotiator of empires, reduced to a shaking figure in a sealed room. As his vision blurred, the door suddenly clicked. It slid open. 3 humans stepped inside wearing orange emergency vests. Reina Torres, Jax Rowe, Dr. Kaido Ishida. Reina carried a toolkit. Kaido carried a medbag. Jax had a portable gravity meter in hand. For a moment, Lurok's pride tried to reassert itself. He tried to stand tall. He couldn't. Reina approached, her face still marked by a faint, healing burn. Her expression held neither anger nor triumph, only calm, steady focus. "Prince Sale," she said, "stay still. Your physiology is under too much strain." He glared at her, but she didn't look away. "We're here because the drill forces all VIP wing systems into emergency profiles," she continued. "Gravity goes to station-wise standard. Temperature shifts. Sound filters deactivate. It happens to everyone, even humans." Lurok's voice cracked. "This is torture." "No," Reina replied softly. "This is what humans feel every time we visit low-gravity worlds. We adapt. We don't throw drinks." Jax scanned the room with his meter. 1.0 gravity. He's at full load. Kaido knelt beside Lurok. Microfractures across both arms. Stress response elevated. He turned to Reina. "If he stays in this much longer." "He won't," she said. "Drill ends in 30 minutes." Lurok stared up at them. Disbelief. Pain. Confusion. "Why help me?" he whispered. "After what I did to you." Reina set her toolkit down and checked the environmental vents. "Because that's our job. We keep people alive. Even people who hurt us." Her words struck deeper than any gravity weight. The drill timer beeped overhead. Emergency cycle ending in 60 seconds. Lights shifted back to warm tones. Air thickened as systems came online. Gravity plates eased, the invisible force slowly letting go. Lurok gasped with relief as pressure lifted from his chest and limbs. The pain didn't vanish, but the crushing agony lightened. Reina closed her toolkit. "That's the end of the drill," she said. "Your suite will stabilize in a few minutes." Lurok stared at her in silence. He had burned her, humiliated her, treated her like dirt, and she had just saved his life. Because it was her duty. Because she was human. Because humans did not abandon people in danger. Not even their bullies. As Reyna turned to leave, she paused at the doorway. "You're not weak, Your Highness," she said quietly. "But you're not invincible either. None of us are." Then she left with Jax and Kaido, the door sliding shut behind them. Lurok sank back onto his bed, chest rising and falling as something unfamiliar and unwelcome settled deep in his heart. It wasn't anger, wasn't humiliation, wasn't pride. It was the realization that, for the first time in his life, a human had shown him strength by showing him mercy. Prince Lurok did not sleep after the emergency drill. Even when gravity returned to its normal level, his body kept trembling from the memory of pressure pressing into his bones. He replayed every moment, Reyna stepping into his suite, calm and steady, even though he had burned her the day before. Why had she helped him? Why hadn't she let him collapse under the weight? He had no answers, only questions that made him feel smaller than he had ever felt in his life. By sunrise, his suite lights brightened automatically. A soft chime signaled an incoming request. He expected a doctor, or a guard, or another maintenance notice. Instead, the message said, Reyna Torres requests a private meeting. Location, Engineering Hub 7. His first instinct was outrage. A mechanic summoning a prince? Unthinkable. But the memory of last night, weakness, fear, mercy, crushed his pride enough that he pressed accept. His guards tried to accompany him, but Lurok waved them away. His steps were slow, cautious. Every hallway reinforced a truth he had never noticed. Keystone Ring belonged to humans. Human boots built the panels. Human hands repaired the walls. Human eyes watched every system. He arrived at Engineering Hub 7. The sliding door opened with a hiss. Reyna stood alone inside. Pipes hummed overhead. Gravity coils pulsed blue beneath metal grates. Screens blinked with scrolling data. The air smelled faintly of coolant. Reyna didn't bow, didn't look afraid. She simply nodded. Prince Sale, thank you for coming. He studied her closely, the faint burn mark on her cheek, the grease on her sleeves, the steady strength in her posture. You demanded this meeting, he said stiffly. Explain why. Reyna gestured toward a large gravity coil glowing beside them. Because you need to understand something. Something no one in your palace ever taught you. Lurok bristled. I understand perfectly well that your station is. No, she interrupted. You don't understand anything yet. The bluntness shocked him. No one talked to a prince this way. No one attacked you, she continued. No one broke the law. All the discomfort you felt came from one thing. He waited. Finally, she said it. This station gives back exactly what you put into it. Lurok felt a chill. Reyna stepped closer, her voice steady. When you arrived, you acted like humans were nothing. Tools. Servants. Garbage. You threw boiling liquid on one of us. The same hands that keep this station breathing. She tapped the gravity coil. It hummed deeper. You felt the weight because you never imagined humans had any weight. He swallowed hard. You manipulated the systems. No, Reyna said. I understood them. There's a difference. She walked slowly around him. Calm, deliberate. You think power is force. Threats. Fear. But humans learned power a long time ago. We learned it from storms, from gravity, from predators, from planets that tried to kill us every day. Her voice lowered. We don't fight with claws or crystals, Prince. We fight with knowledge. Lurok clenched his jaw. You made me suffer. You made yourself suffer, she corrected. Every discomfort you felt came from routine station functions. Normal gravity. Normal emergency drills. Normal diagnostics. He tried to stand taller, but pain tugged at his shoulders. That was intentional. Maybe, Reyna said. But it wasn't illegal. And it wasn't cruel. It was the same pressure every human endures when visiting low-gravity worlds. We don't complain. We adapt. Lurok looked down at the floor. Adapt. He had never considered it. Andorra didn't adapt. They expected others to bend for them. He whispered, Why did you save me last night? Reyna stared at him for a long moment. Because that's what humans do, she said quietly. Because no matter how badly you treat us, we don't let people die when we can help. Those words hit him harder than gravity ever could. He looked up at her again, this time not with superiority, but something close to awe. Reyna continued, If you go on treating humans like dirt, every station you visit will feel like last night. Systems will malfunction. Schedules will shift. Doors will delay. Not because humans are vindictive, but because humans talk. Engineers talk. Technicians talk. She paused. We protect each other. Lurok felt the truth sink into him like a deep crack across his crystal skin. He whispered, "Is this a threat?" Reyna shook her head. "It's a promise. But it doesn't have to be your story." Silence stretched between them. Finally, with great effort, physically and emotionally, Prince Lurok lowered his head. His voice broke. He swallowed hard and tried again. "I apologize, Reyna Torres, for what I did, for how I spoke, for everything." Reyna nodded once. "Good. Now you're ready to be part of this station, and maybe part of real diplomacy." She moved to the control panel and tapped commands. "The diagnostics on your suite end in 1 hour," she said. "Your gravity will stabilize. Your comfort systems will return." Lurok felt his chest loosen, not just from relief, but from something strange and new. Respect. As he left the engineering hub, walking slowly but upright, one thought repeated in his mind over and over. Humans are not weak. They simply choose not to break others, even when they could. Prince Lurok's ship hovered in docking bay 12, engines glowing softly, ready to depart. Delegates, station workers, and crew gathered at a respectful distance as protocol teams completed final checks. The entire atmosphere felt different, lighter, calmer, almost expectant. Reyna stood beside her supervisor, Chief O'Malley, arms crossed, watching the boarding ramp with quiet focus. Her cheek had healed into a faint pink mark. Not a scar, not a reminder of pain, but a reminder of the moment everything changed. Lurok appeared at the top of the ramp, dressed in new ceremonial armor. His stance was straighter than yesterday, his steps slow but steady. There were no guards flanking him. He had chosen to face this moment alone. When he reached Reyna, people nearby fell silent. He looked at her with clear, steady eyes, not cold, not arrogant, not superior. Respectful. "Reyna Torres," he said formally, in the full Andoride diplomatic tone. "Before I leave your station, I offer a final acknowledgement." Reyna raised an eyebrow. "You don't owe me anything else, Prince." "On the contrary," he replied quietly. "I owe you everything I learned here." He reached into a small crystalline case and withdrew a shimmering hexagonal shard, deep blue in the center, fading to silver at the edges. O'Malley's eyes widened. "Is that?" "Yes," Lurok said. "An Andoride honor shard." There was a small gasp from the humans nearby. Honor shards were rarely given to outsiders. Almost unheard of for a mechanic. He extended the shard toward Reyna. "For teaching me humility," Lurok said. "For showing me the strength and restraint. And for proving that true power lies not in crushing others, but in choosing not to." Reyna hesitated. "I don't do politics, Your Highness." "This is not politics," Lurok said. "This is thanks." She accepted the shard, turning it over in her palm. Light refracted through it like captured starlight. Before she could respond, Lurok continued, "I will report to my government that humans are not a species to command or belittle. They are builders, survivors, innovators, partners." Reyna smirked. "You sure you want to tell your people that humans pushed you around with gravity plates and emergency drills?" Lurok let out a low, amused sound, something between a sigh and a chime. "I will tell them the truth, that I pushed myself into a lesson, and humans simply let me learn it." This time, Reyna smiled, small, genuine, a little surprised. "Safe travels, Prince Sail." He bowed, actually bowed, before turning and stepping onto his ship. As the cruiser lifted into the air, the entire station seemed to exhale. O'Malley slapped Reyna on the shoulder. "Torres," he said, shaking his head. "You just made history with a wrench and a maintenance schedule." Jax jogged over, laughing. "The man bowed to you." A prince bowed to a mechanic. "I'm framing that in my quarters." Reyna shook her head. "He's not the same person who arrived here." "Because of you," Jax said. But she wasn't convinced it was because of her. She thought it was something bigger. Weeks passed. Across human outposts, stories began spreading. The prince who got humbled by gravity. The mechanic who broke an empire's attitude. The day a human outsmarted a royal diplomat. Reyna never told the story herself. Others did, with embellishments and heroic flair she never approved of. But she didn't correct them either. Even legends had their use. One day, Reyna received an encrypted message. It was short, official, and marked with the royal crest of Andori. Trade agreement approved. Diplomatic conduct protocols updated. Respect toward human engineers now mandatory in all Andori training academies. Reyna blinked in disbelief. Mandatory. Another line appeared beneath it. Lesson carried forward. Lurok sail. She closed the message slowly, a quiet warmth settling inside her. Months later, a new Andori delegation arrived for a follow-up summit. Their leader, a young diplomat named Varen, walked into the station surrounded by aides. The first thing he did was approach the engineering deck. He found Reyna repairing a coolant conduit. "Mechanic Torres?" he asked respectfully. "Yeah." He lifted all 4 arms in the Andori gesture of honor. "Your name is now studied in our diplomatic academy." Reyna stared at him. "You're kidding. I assure you, I am not." His crystal skin shimmered. "Our instructors teach that humans are to be approached with honesty and caution. They say humans hold the station together with their hands and hold the galaxy together with their minds." Reyna nearly dropped her wrench. "What did Lurok tell you people?" "Everything," Varen said, "including the emergency drill." Reyna groaned. "Oh stars." Varen smiled. "Do not be embarrassed. He speaks of you with admiration." She felt heat rise to her cheeks, not from pride, but from the strange absurdity of her life now. A mechanic, a normal worker, a nobody with a toolbox. Yet the galaxy now whispered her story. A reminder, a warning, a lesson that humans didn't need claws or fleets or thrones to change things. Sometimes, all it took was courage, intelligence, teamwork, and the refusal to stay silent when someone tried to break them. That night, sitting in her small quarters, Reyna placed the honor shard on her desk. Its blue glow filled the dark room. She thought of Lurok struggling under gravity he once ignored. She thought of the mercy she chose instead of revenge. She thought of the message he sent across stars. A single mechanic had nudged an empire toward respect. Maybe that was enough. She touched the shard lightly. "Don't underestimate humans," she whispered. Outside the window, Keystone Ring floated like a steel lantern in the darkness, quiet, steadfast, and full of people who would carry that lesson forward long after Reyna Torres was gone. Because legends traveled faster than ships. And this one had only just begun.